Hello and welcome to episode 41 of Downunder The Ring podcast. Yes, we're back and better than ever, just like Eric Bischoff's music, not like anything else to do with Eric Bischoff. Hey, Phid, how you doing? I forget how to do the intro. What's going on?
You also forgot we're on episode 42.
Ah, shit. Hello and welcome.
Look, it's been a few weeks.
It has. It has.
And look, I don't know about you, but apart from being busy as hell with life and work, like we've both been busy as hell with life.
Absolutely.
Which is why we've been away.
Yes.
But I've still managed to keep up with watching the wrestling. In fact, I've actually been watching a lot of NXT over the last few weeks.
Yeah, look, we've had some real good stuff going on with NXT. Like a lot of good stuff. It's really been worth it. It's really starting to solidify itself as the third brand.
Oh, absolutely. And this, I think it's funny to me because I feel like it's the third brand Vince always wanted but could never do.
Couldn't stomach the idea of it because he didn't make it.
Yeah.
So... yeah.
Well, I mean, like he tried to do it with ECW, and then that went to shit. And then he tried it with the original NXT, which I felt like it was never serious.
No.
And yeah, now that he's gone, we've got that third brand that is genuinely a good product, like
A bona fide third brand.
Absolutely. And look, it's crazy to me because it was only 6 months ago, I'll say, where I was saying that Ethan Page is a superstar and should be on the main roster of whatever show he's on.
Yeah.
And he's genuinely amazing now that he's been given that opportunity. Like, genuinely, everything that's happening in NXT makes me more excited for the Royal Rumble come January.
Yeah, no, absolutely does, because like anything can happen from this point. And that's the thing with Rumbles. We've lost that over the years. How many times have we said, all right, boys, let's go. I'm flexing as much as possible today. All right, boys, let's go. I can't wait for the Royal Rumble. It's going to be good. I can't wait for all the surprises.
I even like bad Royal Rumbles.
Yeah, but we don't get this. The point is that we don't get that anymore. We get to like number 30 and we're like, okay, who's it going to be? And then I'm here to show the world. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Why Ziggler? Well, you know, like, and no offense to Ziggler, obviously he doesn't exist anymore. No offense to Nick Nemeth at all. But like, there were times where you're like, okay, well, look, we've had a pretty rough Rumble. We're all good. And then someone comes out and you're like, really?
You could have saved that spot and given it to somebody great.
And the worst bit is usually in those Rumbles, it's like number 15, number 17 or something, was something genuinely interesting, you know?
The other point, I think, with the Rumble, I know we didn't plan to talk about the Rumble at all, but we're coming into Rumble season, so...
that's the thing, is Rumbles, it's like the day after, all right, 364 days till the Royal Rumble, baby. So, yeah.
But the thing with the Rumble, like every other year, we've had a massive reliance on the big pops being either a big returning star, which is always awesome if it's a return like Edge, right? Edge was amazing.
Yeah.
Or it's a returning legend or
nostalgia act.
A nostalgia pop. This year, I feel like we could get NXT stars, we could get TNA stars. In fact, I can almost guarantee one TNA star is going to be in that Rumble.
Yeah, Jordan Grace in the men's Rumble.
Do it. But yeah, we just need to say his name and he'll appear.
Look, yeah, absolutely. Joe Hendry is a lock at this point.
But the other one is now with the WWID program, or even with the relationship with DDT, who knows? We could get Japanese stars coming in.
Yeah. And look, it will probably akin back to the mid-90s vibe where a lot of people are like, fuck's this guy? Like, you know, like, because you're like, fuck's this? Like, this Asian guy. Who's this? Who's this Japanese wrestler?
But
they have no idea.
But I think the thing is, during the 90s, whenever they did that, it was... they'd have somebody, you'd go, who the fuck's that? And they'd be eliminated before we had a chance to actually fall in love with them. Whereas I think...
now we're getting a star coming here that people will know from Japan wrestling.
Well, either that, or it could be someone we don't know. But I think Trips would be good enough to be able to say, okay, send us your best. We will give them 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly right. So, look, I think that this is nowhere near where we were supposed to be at this point in our conversation today. I think that we're in a really good spot. And what we're really trying to say, I guess, is that wrestling in general, as we move into 2025, as we move into the Netflix deal, and as we move into this evolving product, we're really going to see, I think, like some of the best wrestling we're ever going to see, because everyone wants it. Everyone's hungry. Netflix wants it. That's a massive thing. And I will give preface as well before we start. Today on the podcast, near the end of the podcast, we will be sharing an exclusive interview that my lovely co-host, Phid McAwesome, had with Darby Allin. Stay tuned for that. You know, don't fast forward.
Definitely stay tuned for that. Darby was really fun to talk to as well, and got to be a bit silly with him, which was cool.
Yeah, and like, it's going to be great. I will say, though, this is not an AEW weighted podcast today. What we're speaking about in this podcast is not very AEW. Get your AEW when we're talking about Darby Allin. Don't get it here, because honestly, we've been away for a bit. There's some shit to talk about.
Absolutely.
Like, there's some shit to talk about, and let's start with the biggest thing. Roman Reigns' music is kind of shit now.
Do you honestly think that his music's a bit shit? I don't
like
mind
the
it.
intro. I don't like the intro as much.
So it's, for me, I like the intro because to me it hits with the and then there's that silence where everyone gets to just pop. Yeah. And then the music kicks in. I personally like it.
I think I'm just pissy because I really was expecting when he came back just the original pop. You know, I was really in for that. That being said, I think it's good now. I think you can start to move away from having the big entrance now.
He's slowly getting closer and closer to Undertaker's entrance, though, with how long it takes him to get to the ring.
100 years to get to the ring.
Yeah.
But hey, in news, the OG Bloodline are pretty much all back together now. It's been a wild run for those who haven't watched wrestling or who have been, loyal podcast listeners and haven't really caught up in between, because you only listen to the podcast. Why would you watch wrestling when you can listen to us talk about wrestling?
Exactly.
Don't be so selfish. Just think about us for a minute. Yeah. For those who haven't really watched wrestling, we've pretty much got everyone back. We've got Roman Reigns. Yeet. We've got Jimmy Uso.
Yeet.
We got Jay Uso.
Yeet.
And we got Sammy Uso.
Yeet.
All we really need is the wise man Paul Heyman, and we're pretty much back to where we were before.
What did you think of the way SmackDown ended the other week, with Roman making the phone call and it going to
voicemail?
Connect?
Yeah, look, there's a couple of ways that we can really deal with that. I really super duper want to delve into that because I think that there's some stuff. Obviously, there's been videos going around the internet of Sami Zayn having a phone that he threw during a backstage program. People really are noticing every little thing now. I don't know if that was anything. It could be. I think that the wise man thing, his phone going off, I don't know if it means that he's gone and he's done. I don't think it does at all. I think that maybe someone got to him. It could be the case that Sami Zayn, that was the wise man's phone in his pocket,
Look, and you have to give Heyman credit as well, because how hard would it have been for him to turn down being at the ECW arena for NXT the other week?
Yeah, because it was such an ECW-focused show.
And he was not there. And I think for him, he would have been like, no, I am not going to be on the show. I'm not on the program at the moment.
I can't disrupt what we're doing in the bloodline. There are a lot of things. And you know what? This is a perfect segue, a perfect time to get into them. I got a question for you. Before we move into the whole, who's going to win, who's the best between it, do we love what Solo's doing, how good is, I love you, Solo, every time. Big Bronny Reed finally getting that main event
I was just about to say, this is the big one for me, is as much as I think we could have gone 4-on-4 and it would have been fine, I am so happy to see Bronson in this main event scene. I genuinely, part of me was like, I hope he's in and out at first, but now I'm like, no, I like this because Solo's entire gimmick at the moment is his bloodline is all the misfit Polynesians.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. None of the people sort of 100% make sense being in his group because they're sort of all loosely affiliated, and then having Bronson, who Australian Samoan, not connected at all to the Anoa'i, but there's that whole misfit Polynesian group there,
Yeah.
and I like it.
Yeah.
And his team, Solo's team, is the stronger team at the moment. If you look at it,
yeah, I mean, you've got Jacob Fatu, you've got the Gorillas Destiny, you've got Bronson Reed, and not just, Solo's no slouch either at this point. Solo's beat a lot of like high value targets, like so. And then you compare that against Jimmy, who's been out for 100 years, Roman, who's been gone since WrestleMania, and Jay, who, to be fair, feels like a little bit of a step down.
and Sammy Uso, who does not have a good track record for the last 12 months.
No, again, that's another one that's kind of had a rough run, although he did, beat Gunther, but couldn't get the job done again. So it's a really interesting thing. We need a big boy here. Now, we will jump back around these topics because I feel like this is the perfect segue. Who do you think is not going to be the fifth man for Survivor Series?
Okay, there's been a lot of talk this week about, and me and you had this chat just before we went on air, about it not being Seth Rollins and it potentially being CM Punk. And I'm personally of the belief that I still think it's going to be Seth. I think they're going to go down the obvious route with this one because it makes sense to me. But I also don't think it makes sense for Punk to be there.
I have a thing that I'm going to say.
Okay.
And it might do the thing. I'm like, how I am with this. I don't ever think about it beforehand.
Yeah.
It's CM Punk.
And you think it's CM Punk because?
Because who hates the bloodline the most?
Seth Rollins?
Drew McIntyre.
Oh, shit.
What happens if CM Punk is in the match and Drew fucks Seth one more time? Because he hates Roman Reigns. He hates Jimmy and Jay. He hates Sammy. That is one thread that nobody is pulling right now because everybody is pulling the Seth Rollins thread. Everybody is pulling the Brock Lesnar thread. Everybody is.
Oh, look, it's not Brock. I'm going to say that right now. It is not Brock Lesnar. WWE are not going to bring Brock Lesnar back until everything's sorted.
But can you imagine if it was Drew? Like, I know we said at the start of this, before we started talking, Drew and Punk is done. They've got like the only 5-star match in WWE for a million, billion, gajillion years, it feels like.
Yeah.
Triple H knows that. There's literally no reason they can't wrestle at WrestleMania this year. Aside from it being that Rollins and Punk is the money match.
Yeah.
But it could be Rumble.
Whatever Punk is in by the time we get to Mania, I don't want it to be for a title. I don't think Punk needs a title. And I keep on bashing on this one when it comes to Drew.
Yeah.
I want Drew to get his Mania moment.
Look, stupid brain, like dumb brain progression. Like for me, the thing that makes the most sense after saying what I've just said is that Drew costs Punk. That fucking ruins everything for the bloodline. They're all pissy. Everyone's mad. He's like, ha, 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 fuck you guys, fuck you guys. And then we get Drew versus Punk at the Royal Rumble, and then Seth Rollins costs Punk, which leads to Punk versus Rollins at WrestleMania.
So Drew was on Team Bloodline last year for War Games, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's an interesting thing, and I didn't say it before because I literally didn't think about it until we started talking about it. It's possible. It's probably, if I look at our little bullshit list that we made before we started, it's not going to be Brock Lesnar. It's not going to be Seth Rollins. It's not going to be the fucking Rock. It's not going to be an Anoa'i or a Fatu that no one knows about. It's not going to be Samoa Joe. Like,
look, if we were to get either Lance Anoa'i or Zilla Fatu, I think that's a run-in interference situation.
It's too much of the same thing. We've done that. We've lived that story with Jacob Fatu. We've lived that story with who the fuck is this? You know, we've lived that story. We lived it with Solo when Solo first showed up.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need it again. It's stupid to me.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't think that the interference comes from Solo's side. I think the Solo has exhausted all of his options right now and has the best team. You said it yourself. They're the stronger team right now.
They are the stronger team.
Why does he need to have an insurance?
Yeah. So, and that is also the other thing with me is, could we have a fifth member, right? The fifth member happens. We do not get a Paul Heyman return before War Games. What we get is a Paul Heyman return during War Games, and he brings somebody back with him, and he helps them cheat to win.
Possible. Counterpoint.
And then you've also got an interesting storyline there, right? Because you've got Roman, who has not changed his character. While we may be cheering him as a face, he is still the same guy. Jimmy is still... Jimmy, I would say, Jimmy's now a face. He's trying to get Roman to be a better person. Jay absolutely is a face.
Yeah.
And I would say Sammy is...
He's a face, but he could become a heel.
He could easily become a heel. Like, he's already making moves at the moment by going into the bloodline that's going to piss his friends off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Because he's made everyone mad already. We've seen that.
So they are the team at the moment that, by having Heyman bring someone in to cheat to win, is going to cause more of an interesting story afterwards, heading into Mania.
Yeah.
That's the other thing we have to remember as well, right? Is and I've said it a million times, while we officially call Royal Rumble the road to WrestleMania, it's not.
It's now.
SummerSlam is, or not SummerSlam, Survivor Series is the real road to WrestleMania. It's when the stories start kicking off.
It needs to be now.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would say is, if we don't get Heyman returning and Drew messes the whole thing up, who's better to put the pieces back together on Monday Night Raw than the wise man, Paul Heyman? When everyone's like, we did it, oos, we did it, ha, 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 my bloodline again, we win. Ladies and gentlemen, crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
Like as a way for it to reunify the bloodline back again, that was the thing they were missing. And now we can go to the Rumble with this, you know, or whatever event. What's next? I don't even fucking know. What's in December? Is there a thing in December? We go to the next PLE.
Yeah.
And then they can get their revenge, and then we can start to split off into different stories.
Yeah.
Like, that to me makes just as much sense as everything else we've said. I agree with both points. I do. I really think both things could be a thing. But, yeah, I really feel... I don't know. I just have a feeling right now. And that's...
Okay. December is Saturday night's main event.
Okay. That's a nothing show.
Well, I don't think it is a nothing show.
They want it to be more, though.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a show that they stack.
Yeah. Because they've been trying that fucking name for about 200 years.
Well, it was a big name in the 80s.
Yeah. But, like, all
let
the way...
Let me tell you about my day, Shippy.
How much does your back hurt? But yeah, no, like it's obviously it's gone through its ups and downs. It's in every fucking wrestling game. Like, they want it to be a thing, and that's cool if it is. Also, it's the last pay-per-view before Netflix.
It is the last pay-per-view before Netflix, and we do not have a January pay-per-view this year. So,
at that ending, with the Ulafala around Roman Reigns' neck, Paul Heyman by his side, Leia standing over the body of Solo Sikoa, it's a pretty good ending to me.
It's a pretty good ending.
It's a pretty good ending.
Yeah.
So, We did it. We got through the bloodline stuff because, man, it's been an awesome ride. We've missed so much. It's been a slog at the same time, like in a good way. There have been weeks, though, that I've wanted to shoot at the television because, holy fuck, if I have to deal with another OG bloodline beating up Roman and Jimmy, and then Jimmy being like, oh, man, we have to call him Oos over and over again, I was about to lose my fucking mind because that happened too many weeks in a row.
Yeah. I tell you what,
Good.
I tell you what I am loving at the moment though. Fucking 2-hour Raws, bro.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jacob Fatu how much he loves Solo because I do too.
No,
2-hour Raws.
2-hour Raws. They oh my god, it's making our wrestling viewing so much more,
So much easier.
so much easier each week. Because I mean, like I said, I'm watching Raw, I'm watching SmackDown, I'm watching NXT most weeks.
Yeah. And that extra hour makes a big fucking difference.
Oh yeah, and look, I'm even trying to catch Dynamite most weeks as well now, mainly because I'm trying to make sure I am in the loop before February. And look, there's some good stuff happening on there at the moment.
No,
too,
look, this week is not the week for AEW. Tune in next week if you want us to do a bit more of an AEW thing. We had to get some shit off our chest.
Yeah, we've also got, look, while we'll talk about AEW next week, we've also got an amazing guest next week too. So
yes, we do. 2 amazing guests. One this week, one next week. You don't want to miss either one of them.
No, let's talk about the one thing that you really did want to talk about. It's on the list. It's highlighted. It's like literally in the boldest letters possible on our list of things to talk about this week. It is the new WWE Hardcore Champion.
My favorite, Travis Scott, right? That's who it is, isn't it? Isn't it Jelly Roll or Post Malone? Like,
no, it's Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack. Okay, good.
Yeah, Cactus Jack. Travis Scott.
I like how it's like the Universal Championship with the hardcore stuff all over it. That popped me huge.
It actually did pop me as well. I think it's silly as hell.
Yeah.
There's some people saying, is this going to be the return of that belt? No, it's not. It's a gimmick to get Travis Scott on the first Raw on Netflix.
Absolutely. Just to get him on there. And he won't even wrestle, I bet you. Like, there'll be nothing.
So he's apparently he's going to be the new theme song as well, which has already been confirmed. So
yeah. Yeah, well, it makes me sad that we're not going to get a fucking knock at the drug one back again. But One Nation Underground will forever be in my heart. But yeah, it'll be awesome. I really do think so. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. You can tell by how much it was definitely on our list.
But there is something you did actually have highlighted on our list.
I'm just going to bring this in the background for that.
Well, why have we got a big red circle?
Man, what did he do? I don't know if it's just because he is scruffy and unkempt, but holy fuck, what did Bo Dallas do this week to look exactly like Bray Wyatt?
Bro,
it was like looking at a ghost.
And it's really funny because we both said months ago on this very show, we did not want him to fill the role of Bray. But I tell you what, the more he is getting closer to the Bray Wyatt character, I'm kind of digging it.
Like this week, for those who haven't seen it, I'm not going to make any extra work for you by saying I'll put a picture up, but Bo Dallas, Taylor Rotunda looks exactly like Wyndham.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even just a still. He was talking, and the whole time you're like,
he's back.
There were people on the internet who were like, we thought this was a found footage, like an old promo that was never released, because it just looks and sounds and mannerisms the complete deal. Like, it's scary.
I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting closer to the old Bayou accent, and this starts becoming his gimmick, is that he is losing his mind so much that he's starting to become more and more like Bray.
A lot of the rocking chair, and let me tell you, man, yeah, like that whole thing. Like, I can definitely see it.
And I think as long as they do it in a way, and I'm probably going to prove myself wrong in 6 months when I say, I hope they don't do this, and then they do it, and I go, okay, no,
okay, that was fucking sick,
yeah. But I hope it's an angle where it is like him not replacing and being Bray, but it's a losing his mind and becoming more like Bray, more Bray-esque. And a
lot of the run, I'm just keen to see what happens because, flattery, sincerest form, all that gimmick. Like,
Well, look, he's the only person who I would accept him doing it.
yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and look, can I just also say, completely outside of it, I think this has been the best thing for the solution, my stable, with Karrion Kross as the leader that we've seen so far. Like the Final Testament, I think we've seen the best work from them in a while. Karrion Kross is a tops dude by all accounts.
Yep.
Watching him break 3 fucking baseball bats with his arm in like a leg lace is just heinous.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it has taken this faction some time to find its wheels.
Yeah.
And I think the Wyatt Six is the perfect group for them to be going up against.
Faction wars.
It's faction wars that's a bit fucked up.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it works for both of them.
A bit spoopy.
It's a bit spoopy. But it's still not crazy Undertaker-esque wizardry.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it. And the other thing that I do love about what they're doing with this is, and normally we'd be bitching and complaining if we didn't see these guys on screen every week.
Yeah.
I think it works not having the Wyatt family on every week.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think having elements of them is great. I think as long as they have a presence. I was kind of shitty when we stopped having a presence at all.
Yeah.
But I think if there's a presence, we're in a good space. So
we don't have to have them in ring every week. I think arguably it's probably better not having them in ring every week, and then sort of just having the odd promo or a little glitchy spot or something happening from time to time, just to remind us that they are in the shadows.
A little bit of simple kidnapping, all that kind of stuff. I think that's a real good way to go about it. Now let's go on to something that you have highlighted on here that you're looking forward to. There's so much more than everything in the world. And that would be that the WWE have finally done it, Phid. They have unveiled their Women's United States Championship. I know you've been looking forward to it for a long while.
Look, I'll be honest, I am stoked that they've got a mid-card title. Because the ladies they've only had their top title on each side, and I don't think you always need to have a championship, but you've got so many women on this roster now that I think, and you've got an amazing roster getting ready to come up as well, right? The girls over in NXT at the moment are a threat, right?
Yeah.
But we need them to come over and do something.
We don't need Santina Morella coming in. Like we're in a spot now where we don't need that.
But my issue, and this is the only bitch I have about it, by the looks of it, they're only going to have the one mid-card right now. They haven't announced an Intercontinental on the other brand.
I actually kind of like that.
I kind of like it too. I have no problem with them having a title that can jump brands.
Yeah.
What I do have a problem with is I hate the fact that it's the Women's US Championship. I would have loved them to have created a unique Women's Champion title.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't need to be an Intercontinental. It didn't need to be a US Championship. It's
something else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like you could argue that AEW has too many titles, but one of the things that I do like about what they do is all of their titles are unique and individual, and they stand out from each other.
Yeah. No, look, and that's the thing is that you've got so many things that you can work with now, whether it's WCW content, whether it's ECW content. There's plenty of belts you could pull from and you could repurpose.
Absolutely.
And look, at the end of the day, I think it's good. I also think that it is a resolver for issues that we won't be able to get past. So say Liv Morgan loses the belt to someone else, then Liv Morgan wins the US title.
Yep.
Or Liv Morgan loses the belt to Rhea Ripley. And then that goes to different shows.
Well, my big thing that I love about it is there's some amazing talent on that roster, like Michin, who has just sort of jumped from B feud to B feud and hasn't really had anything to fight for. My girl Dakota Kai has never fought for a big title, and giving her a chance to hold a title, apart from a tag title, would be awesome.
Yeah,
I fully agree. As much as I love Dakota Kai, I don't think she's ready for that world heavyweight, women's heavyweight championship or the women's undisputed yet. She's not at that level, but she did get her own promo segment this week. So,
okay. Well, so what I would kind of guess what I mean is when it comes to this is that yes, that's what I want it for too. That's what I think it will be good for as well. But for right now, it's going to be a good catalyst to get people who can't be separated in any other way away from each other. You know, because realistically, once Rhea Ripley beats Liv Morgan, what's to stop Liv Morgan from challenging again? What's to stop that continual cycle from happening?
Absolutely.
You put a different belt on Liv, take her to SmackDown, get her away from the situation, and then she can drop it there, and then she's over there. You know what I mean? So, like, there's definitely, I could see a lot of benefit to having one of those belts there.
Absolutely.
I think it's good. At the end of the day, it's kind of a nothing thing for me. It's good for the kids, for people who need the opportunity, who want to get in, and you know, there'll be more belts to go for. I don't want it to become AEW where everyone has a belt.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that. I think that
even a non-AEW bout.
Yeah. There's a danger of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to see that happen. So, what I do want to see happen is more good things in Australian wrestling.
Absolutely.
So we have a very, very good friend of the podcast, Mr. Red Castle, who runs a wrestling company called Red Castle Entertainment. They're doing some wacky, wacky stuff at the moment. I don't know if you've seen a lot of the promos.
I love the stuff they're doing.
Yeah, the green screen stuff is awesome. It's kind of crazy, kind of fun. It reminds me a lot of stuff that we were doing a few years ago. That kind of, you know, it's very much a show. Mr. Red Castle is really good when it comes to the pageantry side of wrestling.
The
theatrics, exactly. Yeah. And they announced a couple of days ago now, Red Castle Entertainment partnering up with New Japan, which is super awesome. New Japan Australia to essentially do the shows which we've known. I think they're a Sydney show, typically speaking.
Tamashii is okay. So New Japan Tamashii comes out of Auckland, New Zealand. It's run by Tox Valer in Auckland. They do regular shows in Auckland, and they do very regular shows here in Sydney as well.
I thought it was Sydney. I thought that's where it was. But yeah, so essentially, by the looks of things, from what they've announced so far, it looks like Tamashii will become stable now in Brisbane. So that's really, really cool, in Queensland.
Which is so cool. And look, I think Shippy will agree with me. We're super stoked for our mate, Mr. Red Castle, who is a genuinely really good bloke. Yeah. And I can't wait to see this relationship really blossom, especially with their first show that they've already announced, which is huge.
Well, that's the thing. And like from here, it's only going to go up. You know what I mean? Like we're in a situation now with WWE ID. You never know what's going to happen. You never know when someone's going to get that call up. And I'm telling you right now, even as someone who is currently on the outs in wrestling in Australia, I got to tell you, right now is the best time to be doing your best work because every single eye is on Australian wrestling.
Yep.
It is a real good time to be an Australian wrestler.
Absolutely. And look, all you have to do, like, when I was watching Raw this week, I think it was 3 segments, one after the other, in the first half of Raw this week.
Yeah.
Was Rhea Ripley, Dakota Kai, and Bronson.
Big Bronny.
Right? 3 Australians in that first half of Raw. And that's not even all the Aussies that are on the roster.
Exactly right.
I know Dakota's a Kiwi, but same scene.
It's the same as Hugh Jackman, and it's okay. Exactly. Don't worry about it.
But it's the same scene, right? ANZ's the same scene.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're getting the more love that the big boys are giving Australia means the more eyeballs that are going to be on independent pro wrestling, and that the fact that this New Japan show is on the weekend it's on is massive as well. Yeah. So 16th of February is the Red Castle Entertainment / New Japan Tamashii show, which is the day after AEW Grand Slam Australia. So it's going to be a weekend of massive pro wrestling in Brisbane, because I believe the night before AEW there's a super show as well.
Yep, it's going to be, if you're a wrestling person, this is going to be your weekend. Like, absolutely.
Was it February or March last year in Perth?
Yeah, it's the same deal again. It's just over there.
That weekend in Perth, when I came and stayed with you, was the coolest weekend because Perth was a wrestling city that weekend.
Yeah.
Every night there was a pro wrestling show. Didn't matter where you went in the city, there was pro wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And the hype was real for pro wrestling. And that's what Brisbane is going to be like in
Exactly
February
right.
with AEW coming to town.
Look, we'll leave a link in the description below for Mr. Redcastle and Redcastle Entertainment. Go support your local wrestling. If you're in Brisbane, go check it out. So for now, what I want to do is take a little bit of a detour. I'm really upset that I wasn't able to do this because I was really, really excited to. But from here, what we're going to do, just for you guys, I'm going to disappear for just a little bit. And we're going to leave you with an interview with Darby Allin and Phid McAwesome.
And I'm super lucky today to be joined by possibly the craziest man in AEW, Darby Allin. How's it going, dude?
It is going beautiful. I feel pretty amazing at the moment. So life is good.
And look, before I even get started, did I see that this morning you planted your face into a bowl of water for 3 minutes?
Yeah, I've been doing media all day, like literally all day, and that was that was actually the second interview of the day, and we're talking about training for Everest because I've been training a lot, and a lot of it has to do with breath work. So I was holding my breath up to 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and then can we see it? And I was like, well, if I do it on air, I got to do it in water so no one knows I'm cheating.
Yeah, 100%.
So I put it in there, but just like being in the water and being bent over in that position was a lot different than I normally, from my breath work that I do. So it was a fun challenge, but I got to a little over 3 minutes in the bowl of water. So
that's crazy. How is
training?
How is training for Everest going?
It's some of the most hard training I've ever had to do in my life, but it's awesome in that sense. Like I love being pushed to my absolute limit. But it's definitely hard.
Yeah. Look, I want to ask you a question. I don't want you to be offended by it, but I'm in a group chat with a whole bunch of other guys that are wrestling fans, and one of the comments that comes up constantly is about you is the crazy stuff you do on TV, the crazy stuff you do off TV as well in your spare time, and the question that comes up quite often is, has Darby Allin considered therapy?
No, I don't need it. Like literally, the thing is that crazy stuff is my therapy. Like it's literally given me the confidence to do so much in my life. Growing up, I never had a lot of confidence. And then the more crazier stuff I've done, the more confidence I've built. So that is my therapy. So like I became such a stronger mentally person by doing crazy stuff. So I like to think if I could take a Jeep and jump 96 feet over my house, I can do a lot in life. So
that's a crazy way of looking at it, but yeah, it's amazing. And on that note, Tony Khan has gone on record as saying that he thinks you can do this forever. How long does Darby Allin think he can go himself at this pace?
It just depends on how long I want to do it for. Like how much how long as long as I love what I'm doing, I feel like I can do it as long as I want to. But if I don't love what I'm doing, then I will bail out because I never wanted to be doing something I didn't love doing. But as of right now, like I got the craziest physical recovery regimen, so I feel great. I'm on top. I'm on top of everything all the time, so my body feels really great. And everybody's like, well, wait till you feel 30. And then I'm like, well, I feel 30. Like I'm 30 years old now. Wait till you're 30 and see how you feel. I'm like, well, I feel great. And they're like, well, wait till you're 40. And and then they're going to say, well, wait till you're 100 and see how you feel. I'm like, well,
look, as somebody who's, I'm 43, dude, and I don't do the extreme shit, and I feel like shit 90% of the time. So,
well, dude, the big thing, the big thing that Tony Hawk taught me was you just got to keep doing your thing. You
just keep moving.
Yeah. And then for example, he's like 56 and he's still skating at a high level.
Yeah.
And it's the thing is like you just have your body built such tolerance. So when I'm not wrestling, I'm skateboarding. If I'm not skateboarding, I'm jumping off the roof at my house doing something like keeps my body and my mind in check. So it's
well, I mean, the amount of times I've seen Tony Hawk, share videos of himself eating shit at his age, and he still just gets up, dusts off, and back onto it. So
yeah,
there's something to it clearly.
Yeah, he moves a lot better. Like off the board, like just walking a lot of 56-year-olds. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about the body and stuff, with the extremes of the body endurance that you put yourself through, how much of that is you conditioning yourself to be able to handle that, and how much of it do you think is just some natural ability that you have to perform these crazy things and be able to get up and walk away from it?
I think it's a little bit of both. I've built such a high pain tolerance over the years with just my skateboarding, and
Mm.
but a lot of it's just mental too. So I do a lot of meditating, and it's you got to be if your mind's not right, then your body's not going to follow. So
Mm.
you got to be strong in both aspects of that, and I'm dialed in. I feel great, and I think it's a little bit of both, and I'm what I thought originally was my biggest fault being a smaller guy in wrestling, I found
Mm.
out was my biggest asset. And because, I feel great and I can move around. I'm super mobile and
Mm.
I use this as my biggest asset in wrestling. Yeah. I wouldn't change a single thing. I love the position I'm
Mm.
in.
And you're a straight edge guy, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think that also helps contribute to, your health and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely. The recovery, just the
Yeah.
recovery, like I've had a lot of friends that are in the pro skateboarding world and they drink a lot. And
Mm.
whenever they break something and they just like, oh, I'm bummed out, I'm just gonna drink. It takes forever for them to heal, like forever. And the thing is, like, I'm able to bounce back really quick with like anything. I came back really quick after breaking my foot and breaking my nose. So, I think a lot of that has to do with just lifestyle choices.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that brings me to a bit of a silly question, but I need to ask you it. What do you think is the most dangerous form of transport? Skateboarding, a bus, or a razor scooter?
I don't know, actually. Maybe a razor.
I was going to say, because you've got history with all three, right?
Yeah, yeah, maybe maybe a Razor scooter might be might be the because I'm for me I'm more comfortable on the skateboard. But if I was cruising around New York or something on a scooter, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
like I don't feel like I'd be as like I'm not that good on it, so I feel like I'm bound to like get hit by a
And,
car.
and you seem to be able to just dust off being hit by a bus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd go with the scooter. Final answer.
Okay. Look, you can probably tell by my t-shirt. I'm a big Sting fan. I've been a fan of his since the mid 90s. Love the guy. Um, as somebody that worked with Sting right through his AEW career, what do you think was the most important lesson that you learned from Sting?
Oh, just to be humble and grateful for everything.
Yeah.
Just don't believe the hype. Don't get an ego because
Yeah.
the wrestling world is gonna chew you up and spit you out. And at the end of the day, when the 15-minute ride's over, you want to look in the mirror and know who you're looking at.
Yeah.
So and he's very just he's the greatest dude ever. Just how he led outside of the ring is a bigger than how he led inside of it. So.
Yeah. And do you think we'll see more of Sting? I know that he's retired as an in-ring competitor, but do you think we'll see more of him again?
What they say, the thing about Sting is nothing is for sure. So
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I would like to, just from a selfish standpoint, I'd like to have him around more just because I like
Mm.
spending time with him.
Look, and from a selfish standpoint, I have never got to see Sting in person. And February next year, we've got AEW coming over here to perform in Brisbane, February 15th at Suncorp Stadium. What are the chances we can get the Stinger over here in February?
I have no idea. I know he's loving life right now and he's in his own little world, which, he's worked hard for that.
Yeah.
So if he wants to stop and smell the roses a few more months, by all means, I'm not going to drag him out.
Well, that also then brings me to another question when it comes to the Stinger. What are the chances that we see the character of Sting rebirthed via his son?
See, the thing is, Steven, his son, is actually training a lot,
Correct.
and
And he
so
looks so much like him.
I know it's like so it just it all depends, man. Those are big shoes to follow. Like I just
Absolutely.
time is of the essence with that one. You don't want to rush anybody because
Mm.
if you rush somebody in there, they're like, oh, that was a favorite for Sting. But if we all want when Steven steps foot in the ring for the first time, we all want to be like, okay, he worked for this, he deserves this,
Yeah.
whatever it is that.
I suppose it'd be unfair on him to have him compared to. I mean, naturally, I think us as fans are going to compare him to his dad, but um, it'd be unfair to put that expectation on him by giving him the gimmick as well, I suppose.
Yeah, what would you name him if you could
I
name him?
have no idea, dude. No idea.
SOS, Son of Sting.
That seems a bit cheesy. I don't know. Maybe Steve bought him because Stinger was
I, I
pretty.
definitely wasn't serious about the SOS. If I was serious about that, I hope that you take a chair and smash me in the face with it.
Hey, dude, I would absolutely love the privilege of smashing you in the face with a chair. Look, in February, you guys are going to be performing at Suncorp Stadium. It's an open top venue. Uh, um, when it comes to arenas with no roof, what does Darby Allin look to try and jump off?
That's the thing is everybody's like, what are you gonna jump off of at Wembley? I'm like, the commission is so strong. They won't let me do anything. So it's like, but I don't know what the commission's like in Australia. I have
I think
no
it's
idea.
pretty. Look, if any of the indie shows I've been to say anything, it's pretty loose.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. If the commission's rocking, then I'm rocking.
yeah. Do you know much about the indie scene here in Australia?
No, I don't know anything about the indie scene in America.
Okay. So so
Yeah, I'm so out of the
you
loop.
so you don't follow anything outside of where you work?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I kind of just live in my own little world because I'm around wrestling so much. I don't want to be around it even like more and more outside. When I'm outside of the ring, I'm like skateboarding, stunts,
Yeah,
whatever it is that I do. I feel like it's
yeah.
very healthy to have different interests and hobbies just to balance you out.
Hmm. So chances are, if anyone's looking for you in Brisbane next year, going to an indie show is the wrong place. Probably be more likely seeing you at a skate park.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Darby, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you making time for us. We're really looking forward to having the entire AEW roster over here in Brisbane next year. And basically, is there anything else you wanted to finish off with before we finish up?
No, man, I'm excited. I've always wanted to hit up Australia, but this is the perfect first time to do it. I'm really, really excited.
Awesome. Can't
Ready,
wait to see
ready to
you then.
rock in Brisbane. So,
Cheers, dude. I really appreciate your time,
all right,
man.
take it easy, man.
Very, very good. The wrong kind of clap, but we'll take that anyway. I meant it from the sake of make sure the video editing is fine. Fid's like, oh, yes, a beautiful, well, I'm the best announcer ever.
Yeah.
What an
Look at that
interview.
awesome work I did.
Yeah, exactly right. But in truth, it's a very fun interview.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we got to share it on here. But that's it for the episode. I'm done. Until next week, I'm done. And that's okay because wrestling is fun and it's exciting and we're having a great time with it. How do you feel? Do you feel good about it?
Oh, dude, I tell you what, talking to Darby was awesome. He was such a good guy. AEW's been really awesome with hooking us up as well with some great interviews over the last few months, and we've got more on the way, including next week while we're talking about Australian pro wrestling and the Australian pro wrestling scene. We've got an awesome guest next week. We have Kyle Fletcher from AEW.
So it's going to be good.
It's going to be a good one. Make sure you tune in for that because, yeah, we ask him some pretty interesting questions as well. So,
yeah. No, I think you're going to really enjoy that one too. But hey, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for listening to episode 46, 47, 48. I forget which one it is now. Episode 42 of Down Under the Ring podcast. And until next time, we'll see you down under the ring.